All right. We're gonna watch Mogul Meal. I like Ludwig. I don't know. I like watching his stuff.
You've probably heard this Robert Evans quote before.
A longer video. Especially this.
There are three sides to every story: your
Huge-
side, my side, and
Huge
the
gaming
truth.
drama.
Hashtag I'm 12 and this is deep. But the quote is very applicable to life, but also to business, because people perceive what happens to them very differently, and also the reason people tell their sides of the story are for very different objectives. And because the internet's super reactionary, people often believe the first story told, even if it's not the right story.
True.
I am not
So
someone
true.
who's unique to falling for this problem. I am
But
sometimes.
I learned about this. It's called media literacy. You need to have good media literacy. About like discerning the truth when you're consuming all this content. I don't know, just look
I'm
into it.
way too reactionary, and when I try to wait, I still fail. Like with the Bayonetta voice actor story I talked about a few weeks ago,
Oh,
where she
that was
said she was
crazy.
offered $4,000 to return to her role as Bayonetta.
That was
Was
nuts.
a lie. She was offered $15,000, which you could argue is still not enough, but that doesn't matter. When you lie about the facts originally, it's a lot harder to be on
You
your side.
sus.
And today we are talking about another story where 3 years ago, the first side of the story that came out was believed, and only this past week are we finding out the other side of the story and perhaps the truth. Of course, I'm talking about Mick Gordon, the composer for Doom Eternal. If you don't know Doom Eternal, one of the greatest games that's come out in the past decade.
I think I know
and
about
probably,
this.
one of the greatest franchises ever in video gaming history. It got super high ratings, and Mick Gordon,
Didn't he... Was he the one that, like, complained about getting ripped off or something? And then the company, or, like, Doom, didn't respond right away and then released, like, a big investigation. It turned out he was lying. Or is it the other way around?
composer for it, was nominated for awards
see.
and won awards for best soundtrack. You've
Probably
probably
wrong.
heard the soundtrack, even if you've never played Doom Eternal, because you probably browse TikTok.
Yeah, from TikTok.
And then there's like the high-pitched voice, and it goes, "Hoya!" Yeah, anyway, that's Mick. Mick makes good music. You've probably heard Mick's music, and he worked with a company called id Software. Let's do a little bit of background on them. They are a game company who create games like Doom and Quake and Rage. A lot of the classics, a lot of the hits. And they are owned by ZeniMax Media, which is owned by Xbox Game Studios, and they also ZeniMax Media owns Bethesda. So a lot of parents in this company, a lot of subsidiaries, but all you need to know is id Software makes Doom, makes Quake, and they also work with Mick Gordon on almost all of these titles. And when Doom Eternal came out, they also released a soundtrack for the game alongside with it, which makes a lot of sense. It's a popular game. It's a really good composer. Let's release the full OST. But when the OST came out, there was initial concern with the low quality. This was posted on Twitter 2 days after the actual OST came out on April 16th, and it shows a side-by-side comparison between two soundtracks, one with a lot of depth in the waveforms,
Oh, that's
and another
good.
one that's very flat. And usually when it's flat, it means it cuts off a lot of the depth of the music and just removes it because it's
I was about to say, my audio sounds like the, it looks like this one I'm recording. Kind of. Never like the other one. So I'm giving you guys great content. That's what that means.
A lot of the depth
You're
of the
welcome.
music and just removes it because it's peaking. It's like how happens when
Blitzwitch
microphones
happens.
peak and stuff. And it's a huge thread about how this is bad and Mick Gordon is a talented audio engineer. How the hell does he not know how to do this? To which Mick replies, "Hey, I didn't mix those and wouldn't have done that. You'll be able to spot the tracks that I mixed because they sound good." That created a little bit of controversy because the lead at id Software and the lead of Doom Eternal, aka Marty, was like, well, I have to address this. And so 2 weeks later, made a giant Reddit post on r/Doom.
Oh, so
Open letter.
Doom
that
was the
talked
one
about
attacking
why
him
the
first.
OST is a bit lower quality. It goes into how Mick was assigned to do the OST, but
Crazy.
ended up only being able to mix around 12 of the tracks, and how he had to hire another audio engineer named Chad to do the other 47 tracks. And we asked Mick time and time again to deliver on his deliverables in like a nice time frame, but Mick failed us. We tried to reach out, and he struggled to reach reach it back to us in a timely manner.
They're
We
lying
tried to
about
give
that?
him as
That's
much
not a
time
good
and money
look.
as possible, but he just wasn't doing it, and eventually we had to release it because we owed it to the people who paid for the soundtracks. And this whole post was met with a lot of admiration. A lot of people saying, "Hey man, disheartening but understandable. We love Mick. We love you guys. It's a bummer it didn't work out. Maybe work with these musicians in the future." Other posts that said, "Hey, it's a bummer that you guys aren't going to work together again," because I was in the
You
post.
waited a
I
year
really like the
to make
music,
a
but I
comeback?
understand Mick kind of dropped the ball. And that was the sentiment, is that Mick dropped
3
the
years,
ball.
actually?
Don't take my word for it, though. Take money sign Link Stan's word, who said, "I would have gone silent after shoving my foot as far into my throat as you did here, dude. You done fucked up. Good luck getting work in the future, bro." So clearly some people were mad at Mick for failing to deliver on the OST. 3 years.
Why would he wait that long? What the heck?
Post. With almost
He's trying to stay professional or something, but you can't take the higher
everybody leaving with a
moral
consensus
ground all the
that,
time.
well, Mick's silence is an admittance of truth, and he did not do a good job on delivering, even if he is a talented.
Not everyone is like a social media person. You know what I mean? He could be like my job is, for, I don't even know how old he is. What if he's like 50 or something? He just likes making music. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really fuck with social. He doesn't even realize people are hating him that much. I mean, he has Twitter, so maybe that's not true.
Composer.
Maybe that's why it
Until
took so long.
This past week, where Mick released his own insanely
Probably.
deep and long Medium post. But before we jump into the Medium article, I have to tell you about today's sponsor.
There's another reason why I didn't
in my
talk.
chess boxing event that's happening December 11th in sunny Los Angeles, California. You can buy tickets to see this event live right now, or maybe you just
already
watch
happened,
it online. But either way, do not miss out. It features 20 of the biggest creators in the world, all literally punching each other in the face. Come see me live. Come have fun and hang out. It'll be cool.
Go watch
and
Ludwig.
It's not run by Ticketmaster, so I guarantee
we're
it'll
skipping
work.
that.
All right, back to the
It already
video.
happened.
This
you
is a 58-minute read, and it talks all about the inconsistencies, his side of the story, and it has a lot of receipts, so I would argue some of the truths of what actually happened all those years ago. And I'm going to do you a favor and just recap it. We'll just do a little recap. But I would recommend, honestly, taking a listen on your own. I listened to this on I had an hour car ride because I live in Los Angeles and that shit sucks. And my jaw dropped 7 different times. But I'll give you the spark notes. And I will echo Mick's sentiments here, which said the statement is not an excuse for a hate campaign. Acts of hate dish out online won't result in any positive change. Now, I say this a lot when I make posts about people, and it's something that I genuinely mean. It never fucking works. I found it never works to say, hey, please don't hate on this person. And then when you show them to be a bad person, people just want to hate on them. But it is important to take it seriously, because Mick talked about how when that original Reddit post came out,
I'm too lazy to go to people's comments and hate on them.
Drop the ball on a project. He got so much hate that it made life almost unbearable. It can be really crazy. So just hold off and just hate internally. Anyway, let's get to it.
You know, even I usually am like, well, if they deserve it, who cares if they hate on them? But I guess this is a good reason why you shouldn't hate on everyone. I mean, it was 3 years. I don't know. It's kind of on him for waiting 3 fucking years, though. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's talk about what actually happened. And like I said earlier, this is a lengthy post. So I'm going to glaze over a few of the big points that I took away after reading it, but you might want to read it yourself to take away some other points. So let's jump in. Doom Eternal was a difficult project. And in this, Mick talks about how he was reached out to very early in the project, 20 to 24 months before Doom Eternal was ever meant to release. And the entire contract was, hey, give us 2 songs a month that match up with some level, and then by the end of the 24 months, we'll have our full 48, 50 song soundtrack. That is the goal. And the music of Doom, if you don't know, has to match very closely to the level design. So if it's a platforming part, if it's a we are blowing up people's faces part, the music has to match that feeling. And unless there's some gameplay to go by, or at least some storyboard, it's not possible to create the music. So Mick for months was like, hey, can I get something? And he would get kind of dono wall, because they just didn't have the things ready. So what do you do in that spot? Well, you're not going to not deliver on the contract. Mick kind of made things up as he imagined the game would be that wasn't created. And as you can imagine, when they started to make the game, they were like, oh, this song that you imagined up doesn't really match up to what we imagined up. We can't use it. You have to make something new. And that's very important to note at this point.
That's such a simple but like ironclad reason to have. I mean, it's a deadline, and he was following his portion of it, and he couldn't. What was he supposed to do? I don't know.
That music contracts are based off of minutes owed. So, for example, you might owe about like 120 minutes, and the music was like divvied up into different sections. So maybe you owe us like 2 minutes of like this space theme and 1 minute of this blowing up people theme, and then 30 seconds of this platforming part. But they can divvy it up how they see fit. And so Mick, because he was making up a lot of what he needed because they weren't giving him the assets, over the course of months was creating a lot of minutes of work, but wasn't getting paid for the minutes of work, because they didn't have the assets ready. But he was still working. In fact, he worked for 8 months straight without getting paid once. Eventually, he's like, hey, I need to get paid. And they're like, all right, fine, we'll pay you. But then after paying him the first time, they didn't pay him again for another 11 months.
You should sue.
11 months.
What?
Now, he goes in depth on how he actually needed the money, and it became very hard to work, and he was pulling like all-nighters, sleeping under his desk, and just really wanted the cash for all the work that he was putting in for the game. Eventually, they cracked, but they called him difficult to work with along the way. You don't pay someone for 11 months and you call them difficult to work for? That's a little bold. That's a little bit bold. Anyway, it continues on and talks about how he was able.
That's actually so sad. They slander him, and then it turns out they were also like depriving him of money that he needed. And after all that, they slandered him. So that's crazy.
To eventually get a lot of the soundtrack done.
It's so wrong.
Because they delayed the game from being released.
You always hear these
November
negative things of the gaming
released, I think, like in March.
Space.
And while the game was,
I was told by a lot of professors and like professionals that everyone who goes into computer science or like game design and something with the idea of working in games should rethink it, because it's not as fun as people think. Like, really not as fun. They should at least do some research into it.
Being developed. In the middle of it, there was a show, I think at like E3, and Marty at the show, Marty Stratton, he announces that Doom.
It's kind of like, have you ever heard those things where these animes are great, but turns out all the animators are being like severely underpaid in Japan, or they're getting like minimum wage or something? Like that, you know what I mean? Like, you'd think being an animator would be cool, but no, not as cool as it seems.
Will release
Anyways,
with an official soundtrack alongside it. So you can buy a deluxe edition that not only has the game,
it's like 6 a.m. by the way.
Official soundtrack with all the sounds fully mastered from the game that you know, and will probably end up loving. The only problem, Mick Gordon did not know about this. The guy who was literally making the music for the game did not know that they were going to be making a soundtrack and that he would have to provide the songs for said soundtrack. They announced that in like November, and that's when he found out about it. He did not get a contract to even do that part of the work until January. Now, if you are a layman like me, you might be thinking to yourself, well, can't you just pull the sounds from the game and just throw them in a soundtrack, call it a day? Not really. Doesn't really work like that. Like, the way you have to master it for, like, you know, headphones if you're just listening to the music is a little different than I think if it's in the game mastered with other audio. And it's a totally different project. Yeah. This is from Mick's mouth, which I believe because he's an expert on the subject, and I made one song with Porter Robinson. He doesn't even have a contract to do that part of the job. He is still not even done making the actual songs for the game at the point when they announce the soundtrack. So he says, hey, can we get a contract? Can we get a contract? Can we get a contract? He gets Donewald for 3 months. It's not until he emails somebody at Bethesda, a somewhat unrelated group on the project, and says, hey, Happy New Year. It's been 2-3 months now. Can I get a contract to do this? And very quickly, they get a contract going for him. And he is supposed to provide 12 songs for the official soundtrack that is going to release alongside the game. And then they are supposed to tell him which songs, but they don't. So he just picks 12 songs that he thinks are good.
Speaks for him. That's crazy. He had to go to the parent company or whatever it is, the higher ups, get
And
anything done.
he goes about making those songs. Now, they did tell him that the timeline to release the OST was very flexible. They came upon the date of April 16th, but they said that date could be pushed back if necessary, if you needed more time to work on it, right? And so he's like, all right, very cool. That feels good. And so he's working. And as he gets closer to the April 16th date, he's like, oh, maybe I need an extra day. And then Marty Stratton's like, nope, stop. No. Because they fucked up. They fucked up really bad. Now, there are consumer laws that I think are a little more protective in Europe than America, but they basically protect you. If you buy something, you are supposed to receive said thing. So when they announced that they were releasing a deluxe edition with the soundtrack and you could pay a deluxe amount of money for said thing, that product didn't exist yet. But that product needs to exist at some time that's reasonable within people paying for it, right? Because they're receiving the money for the thing that doesn't exist and there's no plan to make. As a consumer, you have rights.
That's a fair.
Shocking,
that's a
but
good
it's
law.
true. And so they
Good
had
European
to
law.
legally have this soundtrack out by April 20th, or they would probably have to return the money to every single consumer or get sued into oblivion. So that whole we can extend it, not really true. And this is just a little added insult to injury. And these are some of the tidbits that I'm leaving out that are so worth reading. 5 hours before he was supposed to deliver the soundtrack, Marty hits him up and he says, hey, I don't like the songs you picked to remaster. Can you pick new ones? 5 hours before. He had 4 months to say that. He did it
my
5
God.
hours before.
And this is all, a lot of these issues are coming from the same guy who made the Reddit post about him.
Holy shit. Finally, he's like, no, that's impossible. Marty's like, all right, fine, whatever. They release the soundtrack. But unbeknownst to Mick, they also had another audio engineer during this entire time working on the other 40 plus songs in the game that they were going to put in the soundtrack. And the problem was that those songs were super low quality. Now, he goes into the specifics here, but you can just see the waveforms, and it shows a lot of like cuts. Yeah, I'm not a nerd in the audio sphere, but you can see that it looks a little bit uglier than what maybe a waveform is supposed to look like. And these were made by Chad. No hate to Chad. It's not his job to do this, but he was assigned this task. And here's the
It's not his job. Yeah, it is,
in my
right?
mind.
This is literally
He
his
was
job.
assigned this
He's just not as
task
good at it.
the year before Mick even had a contract to work on it.
There's no
So
reason
Mick
to
didn't
hate.
even have the contract to create the OST. While he was waiting for that contract, they had another audio engineer working on mixing the sounds. And you can see that if you look in the files the same way you would when you look at like raw images of photos.
Yep.
He was working on this 4 months before Mick even knew
What's it called? Like metadata or something? I don't know.
he was supposed to do it. 2 months before he even knew there was going to be an OST. So clearly,
Or just the
internally,
info.
they were
It's probably
pushing
just the info
a
or
lot
some shit.
faster than they were with their communications with Mick. And throughout this whole process, the communications between Mick and Marty are terrible. It's a lot of messages and emails sent to Marty and no responses back to Mick. And a lot, I would say, of abusive language from Marty. Anyway, the soundtrack comes out, and pretty quickly fans are like, oh, this is dog shit. I am sad that I paid for this. Mick's like, hey, I didn't make it. And then Marty makes the Reddit post like I showed you earlier. And then things get a little bit weird because Marty sees that post and he's like, well, that's a fucking lie. And not only did he see that post, he had talked to Marty literally the day before that post came out on a call about how they were going to make a joint statement to resolve the fans' concerns. Marty went behind his back. He said in the post, I had been manipulated. And then he has a detailed rebuttal to every single point
Why do you wait
Marty
so
made
long?
in the Reddit post. But it's damning because it has
Very scary
shit
as a
ton of
single
receipts.
person.
And then
That's
he
struggling
wanted
for money.
to resolve it. He sent out basically his requests to id. And at this point,
I love Ludwig so much. Hey, look how awesome this room is. Doesn't this look so like cozy? I don't know. My room is so like a hole.
lawyers got involved. And his requests were very simple. Remove the Reddit post, pay me for the OST, because they weren't really paying him, and let me redo it so it sounds good. Because he wants, at the end of the day, for the OST to sound good. Because if it doesn't sound good, well, it reflects on him. He is the artist after all. His name is on every song. So if it sounds like shit, he's the one who will be blamed for it. And Marty says no. The only problem Marty had was removing the Reddit post. Even though he knew full well that the Reddit post was full of lies, Marty was against removing the Reddit post because he thought it would make him look bad. Yeah, that's how it fucking works. If you do something bad, it's gonna make you look bad. That's how life works. But sometimes you have to own your mistakes. This is the most mind-blowing fact of all to me. Mick Gordon went around Marty, and he reached out to a Reddit moderator, and he talked about the entire situation, and he said, hey, this Reddit post has affected me deeply, professionally, and personally. Can you remove it? And the moderator did. They took it down. But within 12 hours, that Reddit post was reinstated. The moderator had blocked him on Discord and stopped replying to emails. And then a few days later, Marty's lawyers contacted him and said removing the Reddit post had greatly offended Marty. And he was furious in the strongest terms that an amicable resolution would be impossible now.
It offended Marty? So wait. Marty made the Reddit mod put the post back up? He's offended? Or what's happening? Hold on.
The moderator had blocked him on Discord and stopped replying to emails. And then a few days later, Marty's lawyers contacted him and said removing the Reddit post had greatly offended Marty. And he was furious in the strongest terms that an amicable resolution would be impossible.
That's crazy.
He was mad that they removed the post that Marty knew was filled with lies because it hurt his reputation. And here's the kicker. Marty knows he's in the wrong. So this is the offer that they gave to Mick. We will give you $100,000 in exchange for never, ever telling the truth and never, ever talking about the Reddit post again. Basically,
please say you didn't take it.
You are in the wrong, but take this sum of money and then remake the OST. And that was their offer. And Mick was like, no.
Thank you.
I want this. I want this.
Thank you.
He basically went through legal hell for the past 3 years, which is why he hasn't really talked about it.
Oh, that makes sense. Bro, the legal system's fucked. If you don't have that much money, it's fucked.
Which kind of
and you do have to be silent about
over
stuff.
The past years has talked about how he's wanted to redo the Doom Eternal OST, but hasn't gotten them to say yes. I mean, this is a tweet from over a year ago now. And it ends with no resolution. It ends with Mick just trying to get his side of the story out there.
He gets fired.
And Marty just trying to silence Mick the entire way and make sure that the truth is not out there, but the story that makes him look the best is. Now, there's a lot of details that I missed along the way here that, again, you can look through. Specific things like the audio engineer who mixed like the other 40 songs in the OST.
It's not his fault, though.
Credited as an artist on those songs, which is, kind of offensive when he had nothing to do with making them at all. And the only thing he did was slap them together in a way that wasn't very good. No offense.
So he didn't actually make the songs. He took the songs Marty made from the game and worked on that until it was okay, put it as part of the whatever it's called, where people actually can listen to it outside the game. Is that what happened?
That's to him. I mean, it's not his job. Well, it is his job to do that, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like normal.
It is his job. See?
It's not like what he's supposed to be doing. Honestly, it's a super fucked situation where Mick for 3 years has been abused by fans who thought he was a piece of shit. He lost out on work, and
I like that shirt.
All, he released work
that shirt's awesome.
Proud of as an artist. That
like mine, but mine is like its neck got stretched out. Okay, I like this one.
Be attached to, and he has no way to do right by the fans.
It's not really like mine.
Shows time and time again. He tried to do this by civil means because it's been 3 fucking years. Now, this post came out a little over a week ago, and of course, it's gotten a ton of attention, and people are fucking mad at Marty and id Software and again, Bethesda and even Microsoft. So much so that Bethesda released an announcement. The recent post by Mick Gordon both mischaracterized and misrepresented the team at id in the development of Doom Eternal, Marty Stratton and Chad, the audio engineer, with a one-sided and unjust account of an irreparable professional relationship. Okay. to be fair, you could say the same exact things about Marty's original Reddit post, which was a one-sided and unjust account.
Don't put Chad into it. He didn't say much about Chad.
An irreparable professional relationship, but okay. We are aware of all the details and the history and unequivocally support Marty and Chad and the team at id. We reject the distortion of the truth and the incomplete facts. We stand ready and with full and complete documented evidence to disclose an appropriate venue as needed. Basically, no, I think Mick is still wrong, and we are on Marty's side, which is bold.
That's surprising. I didn't think
this is either written by Marty, or they better have a fucking truck full of receipts, because Mick Gordon's entire Medium post came with nothing but screenshots of emails. It came with nothing but contracts.
No conclusion?
Conversations amongst lawyers. Clips from the actual details of the songs. So we'll see.
Oh, there's no conclusion.
Unless they drop some major bomb in the coming month.
No.
I could not be more of a supporter of Mick Gordon. As someone who's never even played Doom in his life, I am fully Team Mick.
I've watched.
Anyway, thought I would update.
I played a little bit, actually.
Fucking long one. Hopefully this wasn't too much of a ramble and made a lot of sense, but I appreciate you all watching, and yeah, fucked up situation, so I'm supporting Mick. And not hating on anyone else, but fucking damn, Mick deserves some support right now. All right, see you later. Thanks all for watching. Subscribe. All right, goodbye. Damn, this is crazy. Listen to the whole thing, for sure, though.
Is there part 2? Is there part 2 out? Oh, there... No, that's different. Where is it? Busy update to huge drama? No. Oh my god, what are these thumbnails? Okay, this. Update with Smash episode. No. It's not out yet. I don't think it's ever gonna come out. Okay, well that's whatever. Go follow Ludwig, because I literally just I literally just like ripped off his content pretty much, and you know my reaction wasn't even that good, to be honest. It's like 6 a.m. I'm about to go to class, so go follow him, and yeah, tell me what you want to see me reacting to next.